Protests have erupted in Tbilisi. Pro-Western demonstrators have been clashing with police since November 30th over the Georgian government's decision to suspend EU accession talks and push them to 2028. The decision to reschedule the talks comes after the European Parliament on November 28 called for re-elections in Georgia, just weeks after the country cast parliamentary votes, something Tbilisi labeled as interference. But that wasn't the first time the EU intervened. It had previously demanded the repealing of Georgian laws, such as the bans on same-sex marriage and depictions of homosexuality, as well as the Foreign Agents Law, which requires NGOs that receive over 20% of their funding from international sources to register as foreign agents. In response to the EU's call for a new round of elections, the Georgian government said it's now reconsidering the EU accession process and accused Brussels of blackmail. The result? Chaos. The US and EU have accused Tbilisi's government of leaning towards Russia, but the country's ruling party insists it's acting in Georgia's best interest, blaming foreign actors for the unrest.
ჩვენ გამოვიარეთ ამ წლების განმავლობაში, მარტო ამ ბოლო 4 წლის განმავლობაში გარედან დაგეგმილი და დაფინანსებული რევოლუციის ორი მცდელობა.
As a result of Georgia's decision to freeze the EU accession talks, the US has suspended its strategic partnership with Tbilisi, and the EU has warned of consequences.
The European Union is trying to kind of craft this election as a choice, not about domestic issues, but really about Georgian people choosing to be with Europe over Russia. And it's quite bizarre and very clearly an example of external meddling, frankly, in Georgian domestic affairs.
The country's current ruling party, Georgian Dream, won the October 26 parliamentary elections with 54% of the votes. Its success can be credited to its performance over the last decade, with the country benefiting from the development of large-scale infrastructure projects, a growing IT industry, and a high GDP rate, which stands at 7 to 8%.
Actually, they chose the party that had been in power since 2012, which has actually delivered a quite impressive economic record, in terms of growing the economy, a record I'm sure that it would like to continue.
Georgia's history is complex. Once part of the Soviet Union, it's caught in between the US and Russia in their long-standing rivalry. The country's 2008 war with Russia cost Georgia territory and fueled its EU membership aspirations. But the Russia-Ukraine war has revealed the risks of confronting Moscow, even with Western backing. Seeking to avoid any escalation, ruling party leader Irakli Kobakidze has warned against repeating history.
So, since the war in Ukraine has started, there's been this massive drive to kind of make everything about a choice. Whatever you do, don't side with Russia because Russia's bad. We don't like Putin and all those things. But for ordinary Georgian people, they're saying, well, actually, we just want more income for our families.
Kobakidze has labeled the protests a failed revolution and accused the US of trying to create chaos ahead of Trump's return to power.
თქვენ ხედავთ რომ ჯერ კიდევ მოქმედი ადმინისტრაცია ცდილობს რომ მაქსიმალურად მძიმე მემკვიდრეობა დაუტოვოს.
Although both the West and Russia vie for more influence in the country, Georgia is seeking its own path forward without having to be cornered by either side. Will it be able to succeed?